Hi everyone, this is Ashish Kyal here. Welcome to Ashish Kyal Trading Gurukul. And it's fantastic always to be speaking about timing the markets to people who already know about it to some extent. And then very much, very warm welcome, Kenil, Kuber, Rohit, every one of you. It's pleasure to have all the mentees here. Fantastic. And thanks for joining in. I'm sure it's going to be very interesting. So and then in case you have any questions or any doubts or queries, you can please post it on the Q&A box. My intention is to take those questions across from master of cycles or with respect to anything that you might have with respect to timing the markets. I'm more than happy to address them across. So markets have been on a roll, niche upper. It has been it looks like market is actually on a fire. It's net there is no progress, but it's going crazily down. It's going crazily up, and it's all over the place. So just give me 1 second. Yes. So Srinath is saying it's good, love to hear your voice after a long time. It's not much long, right? You might have been with me. I keep doing webinars, keep conducting them, and that's what I do. So अभी का जो market scenario है, let's discuss about markets first. What's happening around? This is a very rare market scenario. This is not very often you see Nifty behaving in this kind of a fashion, where we see a very sharp collapse and equally fast reversal. पहले क्या होता था? पहले का मतलब not this past few weeks I'm saying. Normally, usually, whenever such kind of declines used to happen, we used to see an overlapping rise. When I say overlapping in Elliott wave terms, it means that we used to see a move on the upside, which is more like a zigzag pattern. So people who understand wave theory might understand that, or a flat pattern. It's supposed to be an overlapping pullback. That's how normally it used to behave. So abhi kya ho raha hai? After a sharp decline, which is like an impulsive fall, you are also seeing the rise, which is equally impulsive, which is actually not usually the case used to happen. तो जो चीज मार्केट में currently what is supposed to happen over the period of say 10 days or 20 days is happening over a period of 1 day. That is what the overall movement is happening of the market in the current context, in the current scenario. So in this scenario, and especially with a big gap, so you can clearly see a big gap down of 300, 400 points down, and then a recovery like today. And do not be surprised if tomorrow again we see a gap of 300, 400, 500 points for some reason, right? So reason can be anything. So the events which is going on in the global markets creates these gaps. So gaps are essentially because of the news or the events. That is not ruled out. But the trend is because the market is doing what it has to do. So I was on CNBC Awas today. I was on CNBC TV 18 and now ET now also. So series of interviews lined up. I said exactly this. So what we are seeing, this is a purely intraday traders market. It's not a positional traders market right now. Also, there is very, if you are trading intraday also, the trade setups that you are getting now is simply on the basis of candle. There is no pattern. So if you are a pattern trader, for example, if you are looking at patterns like triangle or flag and pole or head and shoulder or any such thing, there is absolutely no pattern. This is a pure play of candles. In this pure play of candles, if you are able to enter early on in anticipation of a move, you will be able to capture that. But if you are entering later on, there is no risk reward, because there is no risk at all. अगर कल से आपने आज तक में देखा होगा, the stop loss is too far away to enter later on the buy side, unless you are keeping a very small stop looking at a 5-minute chart. But that too, because the volatility is so heavy that easily 30, 40, 50 points ऊपर नीचे तो ऐसे ही हो रहा है. So for in this kind of market scenario, there are two things you can do. Either you sit out, enjoy what is happening around like a circus up and down, or form some kind of a strategy around options, not naked. Maybe if you are lucky enough, you might buy right at the bottom and sell at the top. But I'm saying that you have to be lucky for that, because buying at the bottom and selling at the top is something which can only be luck. Even if you know time cycles, even if you know wave theory, you are not supposed to capture that low point, because you don't know whether markets can reverse from there exactly or not. So you have to ensure that you are able to capture the most part of the trend. That's the aim. And if you are able to capture the most part of the trend, you are through. That's what it has to be. Ulapale Singh, he entered Bank Nifty at 33,180 and exited at 33,845. Fantastic. That is brilliant. So capturing that 600-700 points on Bank Nifty is fantastic. So what I'm trying to say is, current market scenario, if you are focusing on time, the time can help you to understand what is the direction of the market, and you can accordingly take your trades. But if you are not able to take trades, or if the stops get triggered, do not kick yourself for that, because this is the market environment. So it's not always you who is at fault. The market environment should be also conducive for traders setup. So as I said, if you are a pattern trader, there are no patterns, so you can't really do anything about it. If you are a trader who catches reversals with candlestick, possibly this is the market for you. सो मार्केट हर एक ट्रेडर के हर एक सेटअप जो होते हैं, उसमें से थोड़े समय में एक स्पेसिफिक सेट ऑफ ट्रेडर्स को बेनिफिट देता है, दूसरे सेट ऑफ ट्रेडर्स अगर बाहर रहे तो अच्छा होता है. सो फॉर एग्जांपल इन दिस मार्केट, इफ यू आर a guy who is going to write options at 15,000 and writing options at 18,000, possibly you are the guy who is making the most amount of money, because that's the range of the market. But at the same time, you need to be holding it for long, like itne bade range ko. So but if you are the guy who is trading possibly by putting 200 away strike price and trying to sell those options, you will never make money in this market, because 300-400 point ka to normal movement hai. So that is how it is functioning. And in this time frame of the market scenario, you need to always believe and understand that there has to be one method which will help you to trade exceptionally well. So for me, what are those methods? Time. I apply time cycles on a 55 days chart to understand the context. Then I apply timing on 15-minute chart to understand where is the possible lows that the market is going to form. So for example, I morning में अगर आपने देखा होगा, I have tweeted across that today is going to be a buyer's day, given the fact that the cycle is bottoming out and looking like we are going to rally and things like that. And it happened exceptionally well. In fact, सैटरडे को हमने एक वेबिनार कंडक्ट किया था जिसमें बैंक निफ्टी के ऊपर एक टाइम साइकिल डिराइव किया था, and that time cycle was precisely at 10:30, 11 o'clock, 11:30 I suppose on Tuesday, and bank nifty bottom out at around 11, I think 12:30 के आसपास, and rallied big time from there. So time is still working exceptionally well, but you need to ensure that if you are a time trader, you are not just trading basis of the time, because ultimately you are buying price also. So when you buy a stock, you are buying the stock with the prices and the time. तो आप दो एलिमेंट को बाय कर रहे हैं. So time element is essential for sure, but candle confirmation is very important. So there are people who are trying to apply cycle and you are finding it challenging कि time cycle आ गया लेकिन market reverse नहीं हुआ तो क्या करें? You wait. You wait for Nifty to form at least an hourly close of a candle above the prior candle's high. That is the minimum that is required for us to get some confirmation, right? So that is very important, and I think the mentees will appreciate and understand that in a very detailed fashion, because that's what we have done the entire time horizon. So if Firdaus is here, Firdaus, you remember I yesterday late night I messaged on Telegram that you need to ensure the hourly close has not happened below the prior low. So I checked it, I recollected it later, and I did, that's why I mentioned it there, that your context was perfect, that the overall move have been down. We saw the required number of pullback. That has been fantastic. But two elements that was not in favor was today being the time day. Second, the hourly close did not happen below the prior candle low, and you preempted that. So at least if you would have waited for an hourly close at least to be prior low, that is very important, you know. So that happens. That's the learning, right? So but brilliant observation in terms of the overall context. So you did extremely well, so don't be disheartened with what happened today, but it was fantastic observation. Just these minor things can make a huge difference. This minor tweaking will make the entire difference in your entire trading career, and that is what we ensure to do in the mentorship program. Like, that's why I keep being active there. So uh, Abhay, great to see you also here. The latest mentorship group, which is the current one, has been the most kicking group across all, to be very honest, and it's fantastic because they are learning so much because of the discussions which is happening. And that's what I'm saying. The other groups, please start getting active. I'm still there. The learning should not stop. I mean, there is no reason why you should not post your trades, your charts, your learnings. That should continue. So there are people, Chaitanya, why don't you make our group active? Why don't you do that? Let's start doing that. A few of them can just make it so active. So do that, because everyone can learn out of your trades, your ideas, and all of those things. It's very, very important, because the current batch is doing so exceptionally well even after the mentorship is over, because the charts they are posting is simply fabulous. I'm really enjoying discussing things with that with those people. So let's go back to time now again, because uh, now there are few aspects of time that we want to understand. When you are looking at time, you might be looking at an 85-week cycle, like we derived as a bigger time cycle for Nifty. I'm talking about that is helping us to understand that Nifty broadly probably has actually topped out, and at an 85-week cycle that has topped out at least until next June 2023 is what we derived. Okay, that's one. But we are not trading basis of that. We are just having that information with us. Secondly, we apply a 55-day cycle. Now, 55-day cycle, there is a little catch. I'll tell you what. The original 55-day cycle, which I've been using for 10 years now, is still working exceptionally well. So we formed a low there, we bounced back for 5-6 days, and we broke the low. But there is one more 55-day cycle which shifted. If we start from 7511 low, अगर वहां से शुरू करते हैं, तो that's a shifted cycle. Okay, and what is happening is, in fact, very interestingly, last four times the low which is actually forming in the market is in between of these two time cycles, which is the original 55 days, which I'm following, the 10-year one, and the later one, which is the from the low of 7511. And market in fact is forming a low in between of those two cycles, which was nearly around 8th of March. That's where the low formed, in middle of that two time cycle. I'll show you the chart also, so don't worry on that. I'll show you the chart. So that becomes a, but that's a cycle which is used to understand a little broader perspective about the market, a little broader, I mean to say, which is like a month or 2 month time horizon. Okay, then comes the most important part, is the 15-minute time cycle. Okay, that's the most important time cycle, and that is the trading time cycle. We call it as a trading time cycle. एक होता है, so every trader should need to understand what is his trading time frame. Trading time frame means you will find out a signal on a specific time frame and pull the trigger there. So understanding the context is one, and pulling the trigger is next. So I was addressing NISM also this Saturday. This is what I was also telling them, that you need to divide it into two parts. What is the overall context? Context का मतलब क्या है? Jargon नहीं है. मतलब क्या है कि मार्केट ने मूविंग एवरेज ब्रेक कर दिया है. ठीक है, दैट्स वन. It is forming lower high, lower low, that's next. It is below the daily Ichimoku cloud, that's next. It is the weekly, monthly is negative, that is next. So that is helping us to understand कि ओवरऑल मार्केट का जो ट्रेंड है वो नीचे का है. ठीक है, बट इसका मतलब ये नहीं कि हम बाय नहीं कर सकते या सेल नहीं करना है हमें. इसका मतलब है, दिस मीन्स दैट we will be in this downward market momentum. There will be sharp reversals and pullbacks, which we saw today. But you need to understand, if these are pullbacks worth 400-500 points, you cannot just try and understand. You have to understand, if you see a big 400-point move on Nifty, don't be just bullish because one day we saw a 500-point move on the upside. We have seen all of the past in past 1-2 months time. जितने बार भी ऐसा हुआ है, how fast it fizzled out, right? So there is no reason for us to say that this pullback is much bigger. We are going towards 16,800. Maybe we are going there, but we need to understand if it is basis of my trade setup or not. When I say my, it means each one of you should have your trade setup. If it is as per your trade setup, you need to pull the trigger on a 15 minutes time frame. If you are a time trader, positional or intraday, 15 is the minimum that you should be looking at. Sorry, 15 is the uh, optimal that you should be looking at, not minimal, because on a for an intraday trade you can go to a 5 minutes time frame, you can go to a 3 minute time frame. So even on 5 minutes it's working well, but 15, I have found through my research, is the most reliable time frame working on Nifty and Bank Nifty. Can I not take 75 minutes? Yes, you can. And even 5 minutes works exceptionally well. So let me now move on forward and start showing you those charts. You will be, and we are going to calculate even the path ahead, looking at that time. What is that we are expecting markets to do from here on? So Abhay is saying 15 minutes working like magic. Absolutely, it's working like magic. So, and even I can see Hussein has been applying all of those things, 5, 15 and 1 hour. It's fantastic. I can see he's been tweeting across all these charts and learnings from the master of cycles. And also, Hussein, you will be a part of the mentorship. You are going to be simply amazed to see how brilliantly we are now going to polish your skills, right from risk management to money management to deriving that trade. We are going to do that. We are going to polish it all across. So it's going to be very, very interesting. It's going to be very interesting. So let me now move on, and I'm going to share charts right from that 55 days time cycle to a 15-minute chart, and then we are going to apply the concept of FLD and when you should take up the intersection as a buying opportunity. We are going to look at risk reward ratios, all of those things. So just let me pull up that chart and share it across with you. Just a moment.